Hey guys, welcome to For the Win. I'm Evan Thorpe. This is Stephen Ruiz, our lead NFL writer. And today we'll be grading the NFC East offseason moves, starting with preseason, all the way up to the draft and everything in between. And we're going to start with the team you think in this division had the best offseason, the Philadelphia Eagles. In the draft, they picked up arguably one of the best pass blockers in Andre Dillard. They got their running back for the future in Miles Sanders. And they picked up a wide receiver for the future in J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. What do you give the Eagles offseason this year?
I give them an A+. I think they couldn't have done anything better. And you know I like to criticize offseason moves, and I couldn't find anything bad to say about them. They got better on paper without paying a lot of money, first of all, without giving up any draft picks, and without giving up any compensatory draft picks. They didn't really sign any big free agents. Malik Jackson was a free agent signing technically, but he doesn't count because he was cut by Jacksonville. And then they traded for Deshaun Jackson. It was a day 3 pick, and I think they got back a 7th in return. So they really got him for nothing. And then you look at their draft. I think these moves could help them this year, but they really help them down the line because you have Jason Peters. You don't know what's going on with his future. So you have Andre Dillard to just step in there. And like you said, best pass protector in the draft, bar none. And then I really like the Arcega-Whiteside pickup because Alshon Jeffrey's contract expires, I think, in 2020. You're not going to want to pay him. He's getting older. And this guy, my comp for him before the draft was Alshon Jeffrey. So he could just step right in and take his spot. And then he's just going to be a monster in the red zone. And you think about their red zone packages with all these guys they have, Arcega-Whiteside, Jeffrey, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. I think they're really stacked offensively.
All right, so what do you give the Eagles grade?
I'm going to give them an A+, perfect grade. 100%.
100%. All right, next up we have the team I think won the first round of the NFL draft, the Washington Redskins. Let's look at some of their additions this offseason. They got their quarterback of the future with Dwayne Haskins. Got some defensive help with Montez Sweat. They added Landon Collins from the Giants. They really didn't lose much, and they found their quarterback for the future.
Yeah, the people they did lose, they managed to replace in the draft, so they're replacing them with cheaper options. They lost Preston Smith, they replaced him with Sweat. They lost Crowder, they replaced him with McLaurin, who I think has a similar game, but I think he has better hands, actually. And then, like you said, they found their quarterback of the future without having to trade up, which was big. And I like their quarterback situation now. Keenum's not a long-term answer, but as a short-term guy, I think he's a good option. And then Haskins was the second best quarterback in class, in my opinion. So I really like what they did.
What do you give them as far as their moves this offseason?
I give them a B+, and if you asked me this before the draft, I would have probably given them a D+, C-, but I really like what they did with the draft, and it really brought their offseason plan together. So yeah, I like what they did.
All right, next up we have the team that actually won the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys. Not too many moves as far as draft picks. We know they didn't have a first. You could say that Amari Cooper was their first overall draft pick, but they got Tristan Hill, and then they added Randall Cobb from the Packers, Robert Quinn, defensive end from Miami, and they lost their best rapper, Cole Beasley. But what have you seen from this Dallas team this offseason?
They didn't make a lot of moves, like you said, but I think what the moves they did make were all good. Like, I can't really take issue with any of them. I like adding Tristan Hill. I think he's going to be a productive defensive tackle for them. And then you throw in Christian Covington from the Texans. He was a run stuffer for Houston. They got exposed in the run game on defense in the playoff game, the playoff loss to the Rams. And I think those two guys are really going to shore up their run defense. And then they lost Cole Beasley, like you said, but they replaced him with Randall Cobb. I don't think you're gaining or losing anything there. It's a like-for-like switch. And then Robert Quinn showed he still had some juice left in Miami last year, so I think he's going to help off the edge. And then they re-signed DeMarcus Lawrence. I think they overpaid for him because you don't want to pay $20 million to any defensive player, but if you're going to overpay for a player, at least it's an edge rusher. We know that position matters in today's NFL. So, yeah, I can't really take issue with anything, and I think they replaced all their losses. And then we haven't even mentioned the best Monday Night Football analyst ever, Jason Witten's coming back.
Okay. Enough of that nonsense. Cowboys team won the division. Like you said, they didn't really make any big moves. They just added on to what they already had. What do you grade their offseason?
I'm going to give them a B-. I mean, I was going between B-, C+, just an average offseason. No big moves, no like head-scratching moves, just a solid offseason.
All right, there you go. Last team in this division. The most talked about team after day one of the draft, the New York Giants. And let's just go right into it. we can say we're responsible for them drafting Daniel Jones. We dropped some fire before the draft. If you did not know, we looked at his film and showed that while the numbers didn't look good, he would be a promising quarterback in the league. So we're going to take all the credit for that. Link below to that video if you want to watch it. They also added Dexter Lawrence in the first round. They also added Golden Tate and Jabril Peppers in the offseason before the draft, but they had some big losses from this team a year ago. Steven, dissect it.
Am I dissecting this in 1987 or in 2019? In 1987, this is a great offseason. Yeah. These guys are ready to pound the ball on the ground, stop the run. The only problem is those things don't matter in today's NFL. Those things don't win games. You have to pass the ball. You have to stop the pass. And they just gave up a top 5 wide receiver. They gave up their best pass rusher. And they gave up their best secondary member in Landon Collins. They just lost a lot of pass defense.
That's 3 of your best players.
That's their 3 best players, not 3 of their best players. They're 3 best players. And how did they replace them? They brought in Golden Tate, who's a slot receiver on the wrong side of 30, who was having a bad year last year. I like the Kevin Zeitler pickup, but he's a guard. How much is he going to really impact the game? He's not an offensive tackle. And then they re-signed Sterling Shepard. I mean, he's fine. He's not Odell. He's not a game changer. So yeah, Dave Gettleman says he has a plan. If he does, his plan's really bad.
All right, what do you grade this interesting offseason for the Giants?
I'm gonna give him a D, because I don't hate them swapping out Collins for Jabril Peppers, because he is a cheaper option. They're basically the same player. Kind of like what they're doing on defense through the draft. They brought in a lot of good defensive players. I didn't like Dexter Lawrence in the first round, but he's still a good player. He's gonna make them better, and I really like the Julian Love pick. I'm not in love with the DeAndre Baker pick, that was their 3rd first-round pick, but he is a good player. I just didn't like him in the first round. So I really like the players they brought in. They just didn't really spend their assets efficiently. So I'm going to give their offseason a D.
All right, so next up we're going to do some three-point stands. We're going to look at the best, worst, and underrated offseasons. And pretty simple, Eagles had the best offseason of the group of 4.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, they did everything I would have done personally. I don't think they made one bad move. I think they made a lot of good moves, and they're better set up not only for 2019, but the future also.
All right, in the worst offseason, these 2 are pretty much a given.
And you got to go with Gettleman. I mean, and he's done a horrible job at defending his moves. It just made it even worse. He just needs to stop talking and just hope that his moves somehow work out. I don't think it's going to happen, but maybe it will.
I mean, a fan came to him and said that he liked the quarterback pick. So
he said he liked the pick. He never said quarterback. It could have been what bagel he picked at that bagel store.
All right, so who had the most underrated offseason between the Redskins and the Cowboys?
I'm going to go with the Cowboys just because I think a lot of people are giving credit to the Redskins now after the draft. They're really, like you said, they were the winners. A lot of people had that same opinion. So I'm going to give it to the Cowboys. I don't think they made any splash moves, but they had a low-key, good offseason, and you don't usually see that in Dallas. They really like those splash moves, and they really held off. They didn't give in to the temptation, and I think they're a better team on paper now than they were when they won the division.
All right, well, there you have it, the grades and rankings of the NFC East teams. Tune in next week as we'll be looking at the Patriots and the rest of the crew in the AFC East. Thank you guys for watching.